those situations where there is disagreement in the family at the bedside about kind of how to proceed with things, it can be very difficult. The fact that there's already that emotional insult of having your loved one in that kind of a declining situation in the hospital, but then when there's lack of clarity or agreement about whether to withdraw life support or continue with very supportive measures. Typically when I'm involved in a situation like that with a patient and family, my initial advice is always that as we're talking about this, the patient needs to be insulated from that. So we always try to really encourage patients, their families rather, to if there is a possibility of disagreement and at times very contentious disagreement, to step away from the bedside, find a quiet place. When you think about what our loved ones are contending with there in the hospital, there's just so much that they are having to confront, and then having family disagreements there at the bedside is very, very tragic in those situations. And then ultimately, as we're working with families and the nurses and caregivers that work with us, will assist in these situations, but so our social workers do as well. Our social workers are very helpful in these kinds of situations. And the coaching for the family is really encouraging families to step back, think about their loved one, and kind of put themselves in the loved one's shoes. If you were in that situation, and knowing what we know about the reality of that family member's condition, what would you want to happen? We all have we all go through phases of grief, and denial is one of them. And so, I don't think there's a single loving human being that doesn't go through that stage of denying the fact that our loved one is as sick as they really are. But ultimately, being able to progress through that stage is essential for a healthy emotional response to a very difficult situation. And there are plenty of very sincere folks that are kind of caught in that stage. And there are times whenever that denial can just be very, very strong, just a very powerful force. But the key is really to be able to help family members that are struggling with that to progress through that stage and into the next stage of acceptance, and really at that point into kind of the problem-solving phase of this is what we know about our loved one's condition. Now what are the things that we need to do in order to really be able to promote their own wishes in this kind of a situation?